Remember these? Well, of course, they're still around, to be honest, but that's just a testament to Toyota's reliability. Now, these particular cars are commonplace now. They've lasted a very long time, to be fair. But when they were released in 1999, these were a game changer for Toyota. Look, I know it's easy now to say it's not a game changer. It's been around for so long and it's had such an influence, but nowadays it's just a car, really. And they're starting to thin in the ground a little bit, but there's still a fair amount of them around. I've been on the Isle of Wight now for a few days, and I must admit I've been seeing a lot of these around. Less so in London, more so in other parts outside of London in the UK. But reality is, these were a game changer in '99. And why is that? Well, back in '99 when this car replaced the Starlet, it wasn't good enough. Look, I like the Starlet, and I know Starlet's got a cult following, especially over here in the island, but it's not enough. The Starlet, it felt small, it felt cramped, it felt like it was a rival to the early 90s, in fact, probably even late 80s, Mark III Ford Fiesta. This, however, moved the game along significantly. There's a lot to say with this car, so I'll start with the body. As you can see, the body's bubble-shaped. Okay, that wasn't exactly new for Toyota. There was other cars that were doing body shapes that were bubble-shaped. But look at it, bulbous, it's big, huge headlights, huge roof, huge interior. Everything was huge, apart from its actual dimensions, which were surprisingly small. Very easy to park. I owned one of these, and it was extraordinarily easy to park in London. I love this car. But it was also the fact that it came with good safety standards. It came with good equipment. It came with, I personally think, decent styling. They managed to make a car which is small, yet massive on the inside, practical, comfortable, and didn't look too bad. Like I mentioned, the interior was huge. Yet at the same time, the car, you sat in the car and it felt higher up. Sometimes that can be a bit annoying, especially on the T-Sport models, but reality was it was a comfortable small car and it made use of its space brilliantly. And to be honest, again, everyone has their own opinions. I don't think any other Super Mini of its time was capable of doing it the same way Toyota did. I know people will say that the Mk1 Fiat Punto moved the game forward, and the Mark IV Fiesta in some ways moved the game forward, especially in the way it drove. But this moved it forward in terms of practicality, and being a Toyota, thankfully, it was endlessly reliable, which is why you see so many around today. But ultimately, with this particular car, you find that there was actually a lot more to like than just its space. I think the styling, for a start, is a good point to start with. It was very much of its time. Okay, it's aged, inevitably, but it was a car of the time. You have to go back to the 90s, the late 90s, in fact, when it was all about bold curves and big headlights, bulbous headlights, for example, swept-back looks, and just overall, just a kind of shaped blancmange is the only way I could describe it, really. That was pretty much the style by the late 90s, and by the time you got into the 2000s, things started to become a bit more shapely and less bulbous. But the reality was, this is a car of its time, and it certainly can be seen from the styling. This being a 2005, this is a post-facelift, of course, so it came with a few different features, but the pre-facelift had stuff like black bumpers. Now, some of them, I don't remember all of them having full black bumpers, but they did have black strips on the bumper, made it kind of feel a bit like an old school car, despite being a very new school design. An interesting mesh nonetheless. And some of them had they had clearer lenses, I must admit. One of the problems with these Toyotas at this time, the lenses just faded terribly. But yeah, they had slightly different headlight designs at the front, slightly different rear light clusters at the back, but it was virtually unchanged. Now, this being one of the final years of production for this particular car, you'll find that this is the facelift. It doesn't have the black bumpers anymore. The lower grade model did have black rubbing strips. This has rubbing strips, but body coloured, so it was a fashion at the time. And you find this little teardrop effect in the headlight. But the reality is, these cars were virtually unchanged. At the front end, you have these lovely bulbous lights. It's almost like a big old pillow in front of you, kind of guiding you forwards, but with light. And then obviously the face has got the little teardrops effect, as I mentioned. But I like this. It gives you a sense that you could put a big powerful bulb in it, and it would just do all the work you need to do headlight-wise. Good enough. But then, in addition to the headlights, you've got the lovely little fog lights down there, buried in there. But again, deeply recessed. You have the rubbing strips, albeit body coloured by the stage, and you've got this lovely honeycomb mesh grille that kind of blends nicely around the Toyota badge on the top, almost like it's just melted underneath it. I really like that. Nice little bit of effort, nice little touch there by Toyota. And you also have this grille, again, honeycomb mesh, but more recessed, fits in and aligns nicely with the two side vents. There's not really much to talk about in terms of the bonnet here, but it all just complements the headlights in the front. The front in this car, I really do like the styling, and I think it's aged well. And actually, this might be a bit controversial, but I think I prefer the styling over this over the Mark II and Mark III. See that kind of bulbousness really coming into play here. You've got this lovely crease following the lovely curvature of the windows. These are just all very lovely, typical Toyota. Then you have this scalloped bold here, scalloped bold shut line here as well. So you've got a belt line up here and a belt line down there, which is scalloped. So it gives a sense of solidity as well as boldness, whilst at the same time not looking too ugly. Because you see this belt line goes right the way to the back of the vehicle and guides you nicely to the rear tail lights. That lovely line, swooping line, belt line comes all the way around, wraps right the way around with these beautiful tail lights. I actually really like the tail lights in this car. I think I prefer it, like I said, on the succeeding generations of Yaris until probably one of the current generations. I really like this tail light. I love the way you've got the, albeit minuscule, indicator at the top with the reverse light. Now, one of the things that does bother me, I must admit, is the single reverse light. Why can't we just have two? I understand there's a need to have a fog light in the UK, but come on, can't we just design it in? But either way, it's one of the best looking Super Minis in its class, but not the best. But it's definitely one of the best in terms of the way it's aged. Aged better than some of those Super Minis. But again, by the time this car came out of production, you had stuff like Suzuki Swifts and Ford Fiesta, and I think they aged a bit better. Some of them didn't, but some of them looked a bit more swish, should we say, and they looked just a bit more with the times. But they still looked like a good car, and it aged really well. And ultimately, being a Toyota, there's plenty of them around, so they're not boring to look at. So overall, once again, good job, Toyota. But what is the Toyota Yaris like to drive? Straight for a start, that is not a sports car. But then again, that wasn't its design brief. This car was designed to be a compact, versatile, pragmatic, yet quite quirky and slightly fun, but not in a sporty way, little family city car. Well, not even a city car, more of a Super Mini, but you get the gist. It was designed to be something small and something for the family. And you know what? It does that brilliantly. It does. It's very practical and spacious in here, I must admit. But in terms of the way it drives, well, the reason I say it's not a sports car, it is fun because you've obviously got no weight for a start. It's very, very lightweight, this car, and you've got a very flat nose at the front, skinny little tyres, adds a little bit of, funness, should we say, to the way this car drives. But the chassis is not designed for cornering in the hand and at the nth degree. It's not designed for handling. You handle it as door handles, if anything, but in the very literal sense that this car will tip over. The body roll is, a bit roly-poly. But the wheels are, well, they're not the most precise, but they're fun. That's what you want, really. A bit of silly, wacky fun. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like the K11 Nissan Micra. But the reality is that it has a peppy little engine. This being the 1.3, it has a bit more pep to it. But you have a peppy little engine up front, skinny little tyres, bit of roly-poly body. Still good, really. So, what's my overall verdict on the Toyota Yaris, the Mark 1? I think there's a lot of things it does well, apart from the body roll, of course. I think you have a fantastically spacious and capable and versatile interior. I also find that the ride is nippy enough, considering its lack of weight, and it's easy to park as well. So it's a good little Super Mini. It really does tick the Super Mini box really, really well. So for that reason, I'm going to give this car a solid 9.5 out of 10. I think it's a brilliant car. If you enjoyed my content, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon to find out more. I look forward to providing you more content, and if there's anything, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Take care now. Bye bye.